Well, here it is, just like we start off all of our videos at the gate. This is going to be a more complete one. We are 1 week away from the end of July. It is June 26. So we're entering into the actual summer. The last one I took was kind of helter-skelter, so this will be a little more careful, and we'll show some progress from the last one. A couple of 2 or 3 weeks of progress. So these are I call them the starter pots, but a lot of the stuff I just grow in here to begin with. So what you got here is some cucumbers, some Swiss chard, a bunch of squash plants in these couple here. This is 2 pots of okra. That one I could probably plant some more in. I think I might, because it doesn't look like it's germinated much, so I may stick some other seeds in there. This is Swiss chard, and it has definitely come to life. Hoping I'll get a bunch out of these. This are leeks, but I don't know how they grow. We're gonna see. It's strangest looking stuff. Stringy, almost like grass. I don't know how that's gonna work out. This was to have been Trombosino. Nothing. More squash. I'm not particularly sure which type of each of these squash it is. It'll become evident. Again, Trombosino. Nothing. I've come to the conclusion the seeds I got are no good. Here's what was to be the pole bean wall. Turns out also the seed's no good. They're 4 years old and they have gone beyond any good use. So if you look down the line here, you'll see like a sparse growth. Well, I just weeded this all out and planted a crap load of new seeds. We'll see how that pans out for later in the summer. If it doesn't, then at that point I have to give up. So anyway, now we go into these rows here. Some cucumbers at the beginning, a couple of transplanted, 3 or 4 transplanted just today. Swiss chard looking dead, or dead-ish. I don't know how well they transplant. The ones I got from the nursery did well, but they were in blocks. So these are very traumatized. I don't know if they're going to make it. And if they aren't, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll be taking chunks out of that thing trying to plant them, but in the heat of the summer it won't work. Whole bunch more cucumbers. I want cucumbers. I so want cucumbers. So a whole bunch more here. I may even plant some more. We'll see. Make this a huge patch of cucumbers if I could. Here, successful peas, snow peas. Here, pretty successful bush beans. They are being eaten, which you can see by the leaves here. I think you can see it. A good example on this leaf. Lots of leaves have that kind of a pattern of eating. Something's eating them. And actually, I haven't looked, but I'm going to look to see if there's something underneath. Let's see if there is. Nothing abundantly obvious. I'll look over when I get the time more so. Not here. More cucumbers. A lot of these, again, these are the ones that I bought from the nursery. A lot of them have died. They're struggling here. They're beginning to grow, some of them, but they're struggling. It's just no doubt about it. See all the yellowing? And I don't know why. I really don't know. It might be the kind of cucumber they are. It says what? Well, these are pickling. All right, I got pickling and I got another type here. And they may just not do well. I don't know. Another Swiss chard I attempted to plant. We can see it looks pretty dead-ish. Here's the Brussels sprouts and broccoli surrounded by the cages. So far, so good. In fact, I gotta pull this off. We got a Brussels sprout head right there that I'll take off here a little later. And these some of these cages get too small. This one isn't, but this one is. This one is getting too big. So I'm gonna be constructing 4 or 5 more cages here today. You'll see along these rows there are still some places for me to transplant some more squashes or whatever. I am going to order another packet of the Trombosino seeds because the ones I got just simply are not germinating whatsoever. I'm very disappointed in Territorial Seed. They sent me another packet and they didn't germinate either. I don't know what the problem is, but I'm going to get them from someone else and see how those are as bad. And anyway, that's another roll of squash. 2 more of those transplanted Swiss chard. And a whole row of corn. And over here another whole row of, well, mostly a whole row of squash. But first, over on this side of me is a pot containing a squash and a bunch of cucumbers that have come up around it. I think they're cucumbers. Unless I'm wrong, we'll find out. Some of them look like cucumbers, some look like could be Trombusinos, and I don't know if I put any in there. But again, we'll find out. I tried everything. I didn't mark the squash, except for those 2 big ones down there, and now a 3rd pot that I have with Trombusino in it, and nothing's germinating in the ones I have marked. So lots of squash. There's predominantly, these are all either zucchinis or yellow squash, and some more of the cucumbers. And the they seem to be doing well, the squash, but of course they'll all die later on, like they usually do. There's 3 types of tomatoes. There's a small sweet 100s, medium size early girls or something like that, and then the big beefsteak, you know, better boys or big boys. And that's kind of what we have in the row here. This is some chives that I cut some for Judy every now and then. But it looks like it's almost like it's going by. I could still cut some, but I have to not cut the yellow stuff, and there's a lot of it. Here's one of the other broccolis that I have already cut the head off of, and I got to make a cage for, because if the deer gets in here or the woodchuck, it'll be gone. Again, more of the tomatoes, and these are the big experiment. This is the $6 plant that I bought for Sweet 100 cherries. Lots of green ones growing in here. I don't know if you can see any of them. And then this was Roma. They didn't have, I would like to have gotten a beefsteak one like this, but they had Romas, so I thought, well, let's see if we get some Romas. Well, some green ones there. And then these are the plantlets. This cost $6 for the one plant, and these guys cost $4 for 6 plants. So quite a bit of difference in the cost. Let's see if it's at all worth it when all is said and done. And over in the far corner there is catmint. Jerusalem artichokes are next. Spreading more every year. I need to dig some of these up and find a good way to cook them. Here's some more Jerusalem artichoke, I think, this whole patch here. And I think that covers most of what's in here. As far as to where it is now. Now, I'm going to venture outside and take the 2 side trips and maybe show a few other things going on, which I've done in the past. The apple tree over here, well, first we'll go and buy rhubarb. This rhubarb plant has not been doing too well every year. As you can see, it's already mostly dead. This one seems to do reasonably well. I really don't do anything to these at all. I don't feed them, I don't water them, I don't do anything. And I need to look up and just get better at some of this stuff. And then out here is this tree. It's planted many, many years ago. It was a 3-in-1, now it's just, no, it was a 2-in-1. I think it became a simple 1-in-1 tree. Either that or it was, I seem to remember it was a 3-in-1. And it's now a 2-in-1. Well, anyway, it's huge. It's much taller than me. It's probably 2 to 3 stories high. It is freaking loaded with apples. I don't know if you can see them. They're just coming along, but they're actually showing color on some of them. Like, you can see one right here. But there is a ton of these everywhere. Last year there was a lot too. What I'm going to do is, you can see there's some dead branches. I am going to cut all these lower branches out because I can't mow here because it's way too low. I can't get under these branches, so I think probably the lowest branches over there are going to get lopped off, just so my mower can get under here conveniently, which will force the growth upward a little more, and that's fine by me. So, and it looks like there is some disease going on here anyway, so probably better without it. So that's that. Get a nice long shot of the garden here. We head around towards the front. The front was doing pretty good. I wish I'd covered it on the last video, but I was short on time because Judy was looking to get to go someplace. So I didn't cover it, and we had a disaster. And Judy saw the disaster. It was a deer. So we're pretty sure that was the disaster. This is a forsythia bush on the left and a hydrangea on the right that doesn't bloom very much. I don't think either of these bloom very much. These are hosta, all from one hosta, and there's more from this hosta in the back. I cut parts off of it last year and put them in here, and it's like they didn't miss a beat. Boom, they're growing. And I don't know what this is, but we get this and some kind of grass-like thing. I've cut it back so that they have little parts, and lamb's ear blooming. We cut a bunch of this out. It'll just keep taking over. I don't know exactly what this is either. And in here we didn't lose anything to the deer because it's these are squash, and the deer don't usually give squash the time of day. They don't care. This is the peony that has gone by. It was a red one. This is a peony, but it's never bloomed. It's never gotten big enough. Chicks and hens down there. Johnny jump ups, the big ones, and Johnny jump ups, the small one. We get both of them this year. This is a hosta plant that I have to keep taking chunks out of, putting it other places. They're going to go up along the backyard next time. See how they're already starting to take over? They'll go way. This thing will get way out into the sidewalk. So I have to take big chunks out of it along the edges and round it out. This is where the disaster occurred, up in the air here. This thing Judy refers to as the Great Wall of China. Maybe you can see why. It's up in the air. It's a nice little garden box. There's Swiss chard there. I think that'll recover. I don't know if the deer ate it or not, but it sure looks like it ate this other one in this corner. And it absolutely did eat this, which is broccoli, and this, which is broccoli, which are now completely dead and gone. Now, if I didn't know better, I would think it was a woodchuck, but the fact that it ate Swiss chard, I've never seen a woodchuck eat Swiss chard. Here's the little Johnny jump ups. They grow wild. In fact, we've got several of them that have cropped up along the line here. I don't know the names of any of this stuff in here. I really should look some of it up. I did learn the name of one thing here this year because, again, I had to chop it down to size, and in order to give it away, I wanted to know what it was, so we looked it up. Here's the other Johnny jump ups down there. There's 2 Johnny jump up plants with a bunch of blooms. Judy buys the potted flowers here. This here, Coreopsis, I think it's called, and the generic name is tickweed. So, and this here is another peony, different color. This is a rhododendron, long since bloomed as well. So those 2 have already bloomed. And I'll head to the front because there's some stuff out here that this is the thing that blooms last in the whole season, up here by the mailbox. This is it. This is a hibiscus, my darling of the property, along with the well, I'm trying to think, the peonies, yeah. So this will give big, huge, giant red blooms every summer. I also put a couple more peonies up here. You can barely see them over there. They're not growing very well, but I can see that they're there. I know the habit. I know their habit. And another plug of that hosta, which will eventually grow big and take over too. various other things. I don't know what this is, but it's beautiful when it's blooming like this. Actually, it almost looks like that lamb's ear, but it's not. But yeah, there's a few things here that are kind of nice at different times. I gotta clean this mess up. And this is another rhododendron. So that's the front area. And then also in here are these Chinese lanterns, which are these things here. They are very invasive. They are everywhere. You'll see them throughout everything here. It's all over. And Judy will not let me get rid of any of it. She loves those Chinese lanterns. And so I let them exist. We get two bushes next to the house. I'm not sure what they are either, but they're starting to grow together again. They were looking horrible a couple of years ago, and I gave them a really nice trim. Since then, they've been doing swell. See, they're kind of almost grown together now, but they're growing wonderfully. This bush that's been here since day one, I've got pictures of it when it was barely off the ground, is dramatically cut off on this side, as you can see, so I could get by it. It was leaning way the hell out into the walkway, so I had to just lop off a big part of it. But it's still hugging the house and everything else. I've allowed it to exist as long as it's not too much of a problem. And there were two others right over here. They were gotten rid of last summer. And in fact, the stump of one is really hard to deal with. So Judy is trying to decorate around it and over it, and that's what this goose and stuff are doing here. I'll put some mulch over it shortly, but yeah, there's a part of the stump that we just couldn't quite get rid of, so she's just decorating around it so that it wouldn't know so much. Okay, so we're gonna head back for the last little remote thing here around the edge of the house. Incidentally, it is sort of gardening, but in a way, but you know, it has to do with things that are grown that have been cut down. Trees. This whole tree line is minus about, I don't know, 4 or 5 major trees, a few small ones, and there's a few more to go. If you look there, you can see that there's one that's just a part of it growing up and down. That's gonna go. I'll be taking care of that one myself. All the limbs over there, they're sticking off to the right, are gonna get lopped off fairly well up there. And also over my garden, if you look at my garden, if you look at the tree limbs that are hanging over the garden, probably going to get rid of those 2 tree limbs from that tree and lop them off, along with those ones on the apple tree that I was showing you earlier. So there's a lot of that to be done. But we had professional tree people come in here. In one case, they chipped it and pushed it over the banking, and then the other, it was a microburst took down tree, and they took it and just put the parts of it back here. And now the brush pile, which was big anyway, is even bigger. You can see looks like a kind of a real mess back here, but it always did. Plans are, however, if we step back here, that we're going to get things like these lilacs and other things to grow, put all along in here, and you won't notice it so much. For the most of the yard, you really don't. You just, when you look out, you just see the landscaped area, and then it goes out into the woods where, yeah, it's rough woodage and there is brush out there. I got to pull this brush out of here just to get rid of that, and that I was doing a lot of this yesterday. Once done, this will all be green, and then we'll plant other things and make it look nice. Make the edge line here look a lot better, but minus all those threatening trees that we had. But it is a lot more sun out here, which is a good thing. The yard is also gardening stuff. If you look, you'll see there's lots of patches in the backyard, tons of them. And that's because there's lots of moss growing everywhere. And the problem with moss is that when you ride over it with your riding mower, it digs it right up. It doesn't have any footprint at all. See it all? You see all the moss down there? But it's all over. And so there's lots of it that my mower has just dug up. Once dug up, nothing seems to grow. I'm starting to lime the soil more. I got a pH meter and I didn't really see that it was high pH, but perhaps it is. Anyway, here's a couple things you never see. Each summer I plant this plant on the left. It's called a Japanese wonder plant. You can look it up. And it puts out a whole bunch of really nice looking flowers. And then this bush, again, I don't know what the bush is. I probably ought to find a way to identify all this stuff. I heard that there was an app that you could take a picture and it would tell you what you had. I have not gone to try and get it or try it, but I probably need to. Okay, up the steps here is the last part of the experiment in this video. Because we have, and this is what the surprise part is, we have some more Swiss chard, which has not been bothered by anything. I like the stuff on the front there, which is gone. This, however, is a, what is it, a pear? I'm trying to see if it's one or two. It's 2 tomato plants. It is the most advanced tomato plant on the property. And it's here where it's fairly shady. It seems as though this might be a good environment for, did I say tomato? I meant cucumber. There's my mind going off again. 2 cucumber plants, and they've vined out quite a bit. And if you saw the ones before, they were way stunted from this. This one doesn't have a hint of yellow. These all have yellow. It's different soil, it's a different location. I don't know which made the difference, but obviously it likes it here better. Most of this is just Judy's flowers, so I don't have much to do with this. And that's pretty much it. That's going to be my video for the moment, and maybe we'll come back in a month and do another one.